When he leaves St. Raphael at the end of June, Father Kevin will be part of the vocations ministry of the diocese. And his specific role will be the director of the Kairos year. And that year is meant to help young men take time to deepen their spiritual lives and to increase their self-awareness. And they do that before they begin their regular seminary studies. It's a year of being immersed in prayer, reflection, and community in order to better listen and hear the voice of the Lord. There's a former convent in Green Bay where the men will live with Father Kevin. A year ago, Olivier and Durmana from our parish finished this Kairos year before he went to St. Francis Seminary in Milwaukee. And Father Kevin will help the young men enter into a quieter, less distracted time of prayer and reflection. They'll spend the year largely without their smartphones and social media. Instead, they'll learn to embrace silence as a way of trying to hear God speak to them. Describing himself as the sheep gate and the shepherd in the gospel today, Jesus says that his sheep know his voice. And in recognizing his voice, they follow him. That's the idea of taking some time away, like a retreat. Retreat is time apart so that we lose some of the distractions of our lives and better hear the voice of God. Priests are all asked to make an annual retreat so that we stay rooted in prayer and our relationship with Christ. But a retreat experience is good for anyone who's able to take those few days away. And we can't all take a retreat because of family and work commitments, but we can all take shorter segments of time to be quiet and to train our minds and hearts to better hear the voice of Jesus amidst all the other voices and noise that goes through our ears. A regular time of prayer at the beginning or the end of the day is a great way to do that. Some days it might simply be 5 minutes in the midst of a lot of craziness to just stop and remember that God is with us. Providing that year for men considering the priesthood is a good reminder that we have a duty and obligation to help our young people to listen for the voice of God. God calls all of us to follow him in a specific way, a specific vocation, the way that will lead each of us to an abundant life. Most of us have already made those decisions in our lives. Our young people are in the process of making them. Our world today has so many distractions and things that compete for our attention. We need to help those in school and young adulthood to sort through that noise and to recognize the voice of Jesus. Every Catholic young person should be praying about their vocation. Is God calling them to married life, to consecrated life, to priesthood? Most people are called to serve God in the sacrament and vocation of marriage. Are we able to help our children and grandchildren, our nieces and nephews, to see what a good Christian marriage looks like? Are we able to encourage our young people to consider the kind of person that could live out a marriage rooted in God, and then to look for those qualities in a potential person to date? Sometimes we wait too long to have those discussions, or we never have them at all. Every Catholic young person should also ask whether they are called to consecrated life or to priesthood. God does call plenty of people in this way. Not enough people are hearing that call and responding yes. In our family, do we talk about those vocations? If we think someone might be called, do we help them to have a discussion with someone that will help them sort that out? If your son or grandson said he was considering the priesthood, what would your response be? How would you help them to listen to the voice of Jesus? We need good marriages rooted in Christ. We have a specific need today for more women and men in consecrated life. And we especially need more priests. Jesus desires all of us to live a life of abundance, a life filled with joy and love and sacrifice. Are we able to take the time to listen to that voice every day? Are we able to help our young people to train their minds and hearts to hear that voice and to follow him? I am so grateful that there were people in my life who encouraged me to ask whether God was calling me to be a priest. I'm incredibly grateful to the many people who prayed for me while I was in seminary formation, as well as those who pray for me now. I need those prayers. I'm so thankful that God has called me to be a priest and serve his people in this way. I know that God is calling others, people from our parish, our families. Will you join me in praying for the young people in your life, encouraging their involvement in retreats and mission trips and days of prayer that will help them to grow in their faith? Will you join me in asking those who have the qualities to be a good sister or a good priest to pray about that, to see if God is calling them in that way? Will you join me in praying for strong marriages and families and helping our young people to desire a future spouse who is a person rooted in faith? Jesus said that he came that we might have life and have it more abundantly. Let's help our young people discover the fullness of a life of faith, a life of purpose and meaning and sacrifice as we hear the voice of Jesus and respond.